Hey everybody, we just finished our session today where we focused on making last minute holiday gifts using Trace.
Boom. Yeah, we built two projects, one of them being a customizable knife box using burl, which is one of my favorite recents, and then also a really fun serving platter that you're going to have to stick around to find out what it is. I think it's hilarious. We also go over a bunch of little projects and how you can kind of use Trace to quickly get your ideas into the real world. And Jake, why should they come check us out live?
Because we're doing live Q&As, all your burning questions answered right there on the spot, and giveaways at the end.
Giveaways.
Bunch of free stuff. Come check us out.
4 p.m. every other week on sessions.shapertools.com. That's Pacific time, and we will see you soon.
Enjoy the show. Hello everyone, welcome to Shaper Sessions. My name is Jake.
And I'm Sean.
And today, sticking with the holiday theme because it's almost the holidays. But this time we're making it personal. We are personalizing gifts thanks to Trace and Studio.
It's going to be a fun one. We're going to show you kind of some bigger projects in the start, and then we're going to go to some smaller ones that we pre-made later in the show. So there'll be kind of a mix of sizes and techniques, and it should be a pretty fun one.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, Trace is our drawing tool, essentially. It's the fastest way to go from hand drawing to a cuttable vector on any machine that takes an SVG file, including Origin.
CNC machines, vinyl cutters, laser cutters, all sorts of things. We'll get into more of that shortly.
Yeah. Digital embroidery machines.
That's right.
That's actually one of my favorite applications.
They are quite rad.
Just to remind everyone, this is a live show, so please make good use of that comment section. Ask your questions. We are live, so we're going to answer them at the end during the Q&A. We're also going to have a poll question that pops up about halfway through. You got to answer that question if you want to enter your name to win our giveaways at the end of the show. And again, it's holiday season. I'm feeling pretty generous.
Oh, you're giving some stuff away today.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. All right. Well, should we jump into it?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, if you weren't around last week, we released a new software version on Origin called Napa. And we're going to take 5 minutes to walk through some of the new features in case you haven't seen it. So let's do that now.
Yeah. For those that don't know, how far is Napa from San Francisco?
Oh, depends on traffic.
Yes.
Probably
Hour?
30 minutes an hour, depending on the flow.
I think they're pretty well known for
Well known for wine country.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Very nice place to go visit on the weekend.
Yeah. All right. I am stoked on this release.
Okay.
I have been ringing this bell, I feel like, for years, and it's finally here. So
Other people have been ringing my bell on this one too, you know. All right, so let's start off with one of there's two main features we're going to talk about today. The first being editable presets, and then the second one being Studio Free Trial. And we're going to jump into editable presets now. So what do we mean when we say editable presets? Well, if you look on the screen of Origin, every time you are entering your depth, your offset, your bit diameter, your speeds, these are presets where you can just click and it'll instantly set to one of those values. And so, you know, for since we've been around, we've had these presets, but you know, we've had a lot of feedback. Hey, it'd be more helpful if they were personalized to me. We decided, hey, let's do that. And so editable presets are here. So Jake's walking you through how to do it. Basically, you open the preset menu, and on whichever one you want to edit, and you'll see a little edit button in the bottom. Clicking that edit button in the bottom will bring you to a new screen. It has some instructions on the right, and you can just enter kind of whatever you would like and hit done. And now you've saved the new preset. So that will overwrite the default and then add whatever you like. You can add mixed metric values if you want. You can do your imperial. It depends on whatever you want. They will convert to whatever language or whatever system you're currently in. But this is great for a couple things. One, let's say you have a bunch of different bits that you use all the time.
yeah.
So like if you go to that bit diameter setting, we only have 3 in there, engraving, 1/8 inch and 1/4 inch. Well, you know, you may never use an 1/8 inch. And so you might want to take that and add it and change the order. You may want to, you know, get rid of the 1/8 inch. You can kind of set it to whatever you want. In our case, we use a lot of 8mm. And in this show, we're actually going to pull out the 16mm quite a bit. So maybe if Jake goes ahead and sets that, we can just have those set. So later when we need to come back to them, they're always there. This is not workspace specific. It's a global setting. So if you set these, it'll be there. If you come back in a month, a year, whatever. Okay. So that's the bit offset or the bit size. There's another really valuable one called offset, which we talk about when we're talking about fitting things on Origin. And this one's really valuable because, Jake and I have different offsets that we cut to when we're
Yeah.
roughing and finishing, and even negative offsets generally. And it depends on how you drive the machine, how aggressive you're being. So Jake, what would you put in here if you had your choice?
My roughing offset is 0.02, positive 0.02, cut my depth, then to 0. Then my fit, I usually find is a negative 0.003.
Okay, so we're pretty close because I normally use 0.02 and then a negative 5 thou for my fit. So if you wanted to change these, and this is where like a lot of these ones that were in here previously really weren't applicable to a lot of people. So, now that they're editable, you can pick, I would keep 0 at the top because you're going to end up using that all the time. And then kind of the next one down below, I would probably put your roughing offset that you typically use. And that's going to have pretty good muscle memory to click either one of those when you want to change. And then the other ones, whatever you like, if you're, sometimes I'm getting really aggressive on my roughing passes and I'm doing a 0.05 because I'm not really trying to be that careful. I'm going to do that later when I come to my finishing pass. And so, this is kind of the types of things you would use the presets for. And then the last real key one, we'll go to cut depths on tool. And this is one where if you have auto pass, you're not going to use it as much, but it's still valuable. But if you don't have auto pass, you can kind of set this up for whatever pass sequence you're doing. So let's say I'm cutting with an 1/8 inch bit. I would go into that and I would probably change it from starting with an air cut and engrave to a 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch, 1/2 inch, and just work those down or whatever exact passes I'm doing. And like, instead of trying to type them in every time, I'm just going to click that preset. And so, I end up editing this a bunch when I'm doing stuff. Even as an AutoPass user, I do sometimes not want to use AutoPass and I'm using very specific cut depths, and I'll just set these up real quick. Once you get in the hang of editing presets, they happen quite quickly and you'll be off and running in no time.
It's like your palette for that particular project.
That is a great way to say it. So that's editable presets. The only last thing, let's quickly show people how to reset them. If you accidentally write a bunch and you're like, oh man, this is annoying, I just want to go back to the defaults. If you go to the settings and then hit the info button, if you scroll down, you'll see a thing that says right towards the top that says something about resetting presets. If you click that, it's going to ask you to confirm. If you hit yep, it'll go back to the factory settings.
Nice.
So sometimes it's easier to blast them all away and rewrite them. Sometimes you just rewrite them.
That is cool.
So that's editable presets in a nutshell. And that's available to everyone for free. It's a part of the system update in Napa.
Nice.
Any questions, Jake?
No, I'm just really excited because I feel like I've had 0.01 as a roughing offset, and I'm like, I'd always use 0.02. It's just
every time I walk through
almost there.
The shop, Jake asks me, when's editable presets coming?
Yeah.
When's editable presets coming? Okay, well, they're here. We hope you enjoy them. Definitely leave us feedback on the forum. If you have feature requests, bugs, etc. We'll see you there.
Yeah.
Okay, second feature is Studio free trial. And so we know a lot of people have already used Studio, but there's also a lot of people who haven't. Just to kind of walk back, Studios are design software on the computer that's kind of simplified for craftspeople. There is a pretty, free version for people. It just limits how many exports you can, send out of the program. You get 3 a month. They reset every month. And previously, if you were an unlicensed user, you would basically take those, click export on the computer, and then that would give you an SVG, and then you could load it into Origin. Well, we've changed a couple things. One, if you go to import page, Jake, what you're going to see here is now you'll see your Studio files in the page. So we're currently looking at someone who doesn't yet have a Studio license, and if you click Studio, you're going to see information that says, hey, if you try to click that Studio design, it's going to warn you, hey, you are not licensed right now, but here's how you can get your files off. But if you notice, there's a new button in the top right that says Start Free Trial. If you click that, it's going to tell you, hey, go to your computer, check out Studio, and now what's going to happen is you're going to be able to import Studio designs for 30 days. And so this is going to allow you to get the full experience of not having to export, having your files automatically sync to your system, and then especially when you're using Origin and you're exporting up to the ShaperHub files, you can actually edit them. They're already saved. When you pull them back down, that round trip experience is very seamless. And so take a good time when you have 30 days to try it out, see if it works for you. We'd love to hear your feedback, and that's the studio free trial update.
Sweet. 30 days. That's a good
Yeah.
chunk of time.
Yeah, if it's still time to make some holiday presents. So yeah, those are the Napa updates. Obviously, we always put bug fixes and or performance improvements in those releases as well. It's not just about all the shiny new features. There's a lot of back end work that's happening with our engineers and our designers to make everything better. So please download Napa if you haven't already, and let us know if you have any issues or successes.
Nice.
That's it for Napa.
Yeah. I just wanted to take a moment to remind everyone, because I realized we started the show and I didn't mention it. We have our promo happening right now. The biggest promo of the entire year. So I'd be remiss if I did not mention it at least a couple of times, because there's only 11 days left. So show off that page for me.
All right, coming in.
We have 11 days left to get in on the biggest deal of the year. Huge cash savings when you combine Origin, Workstation, Bench Pilot. We're talking all of the bundle deals, including you can put together your package to get the best deal. The freebies include a pair of reversible clamps, a mini sustainer, customizable toolbox, a scraper, a pry bar, and a roll of 1-inch double-sided tape. All the things that we think that you are going to really appreciate getting started. In addition, you'll get 2-part training class with myself. We'll get you up and running with your new tool and confident going into making your free 9 premium projects. These are the kind of perfect gateway into how to successfully create furniture and projects with your Origins, with your Shaper system. And there's a beautifully curated shop.
Oh, so beautiful. I also think somebody in the marketing team must have heard us. They're including the scraper and the pry bar, and we normally fight over that. So
it's essential.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, you can use them in combination too.
It's true. And maybe we're going to show off a little bit later, probably when we need them.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, let's jump into what we came here to talk about Trace, and let's get it going.
Yeah. So what is Trace? Again, easiest way to go from a hand drawing to an SVG file. All lives within this tiny little frame.
Yeah, and really what it is it's just a physical thing that helps convert drawings into something that's usable for digital fabrication. So whether that's Origin or Cricut or these other machines, getting organic things to scale into the computer is pretty difficult. So we made this product Trace to make that a lot easier. So let's show you kind of basically the basics of how it works. So Jake, I'm gonna do a quick demo on Trace just so everybody can see it. Maybe not people haven't seen it before. So I want you to give me a signature or just draw something that we can kind of show the basics of Trace in. What kind of pen do you want?
Ooh, pick your poison. Marker.
Let's go with a big marker for the moment.
All right. You could just ask for my signature.
Oh yeah.
You didn't have to make this whole ruse.
But then now I have a digital version of it forever. Why would I not want that? I promise I won't do anything wrong with it. Okay, so if we got a new top camera over here today, so let's see how this works. So, oh yeah, pretty good. So Jake has signed this, and essentially all we're doing, I like using a clipboard just to keep my papers from going all over the place. Take Trace, stick it over the top. It fits perfectly over a normal printer paper, and then all we have to do is come to our phone, and I'm going to go ahead and go to the Trace website and give it camera access. And then as soon as this happens, I think we can go to the screen of Trace, give it access. Oh, got a little error. Let's refresh this.
There's also a QR code on the back of the frame that takes you quickly to the app.
Okay, so here we go. All I need to do is kind of zoom out to where Trace is visible in the frame, and then it's going to rotate this. There we go. As soon as it sees it, it's going to see ready to capture, and maybe the lighting is causing some issues or something.
Yeah, close it and scan the QR code.
Yeah.
Bring you back to it.
Okay. Let's see, going here. So this is the back of the frame here, and I'm just scanning it.
Yeah, easy.
And click that little link. It'll bring us right to the Trace app. boom, stick it on top here, and ready to capture. Take a click, and boom, now we have that file. Now there's a couple things to mention about this file. One is when you take trace and put it on top of your drawing, you're getting a perfectly scaled image. So right now it's saying this is 2.5 inches by basically 2.9, and if I were to pull out a tape measure or a pair of calipers, we would see it's basically right on the money. And so these are really accurate, and this is one of the best parts about trace, is using it to capture real world data that might be pretty difficult to either rebuild in CAD or trying to figure out exactly how you do it. Now, two things also about trace. When you bring it into here, you're going to see by default we have outline mode, and we can also go to the centerline mode. And these modes are going to basically change the way of the file that comes out. And if anyone's used single line fonts on Origin, you'll understand, hey, there's a super big value to not having to cut both edges of the marker. And I just want the inside line. And so this is kind of the way it works. If you hit the little plus button at the bottom, you have the ability to save the SVG directly to your phone, or you can save it into your files or open it straight with Studio. And so if I opened it with Studio, I could tell it, hey, I want to make a new Studio design. And boom, we're ready to import into Studio. And that's going to then come in and ask me, do I want to have different objects or all together? All together is fine for this one. If we were just going to engrave this, boom, there it is. That file, because we're now in the Studio free trial, is already assigned to that, and we can basically get it. Now, so that's the basics of how Trace works. The files come in and out. It's just SVG files that come out of it. So if you bring it into Studio or other things, it's up to you. Pretty common format that works with a bunch of stuff. So that's the basics of Trace. If you have never seen it before, now let's get into some of the project stuff we want to talk about. So Jake's gonna, we need to sign into that other account too, by the way. Oh, you beat me to it. Good, great. Okay, so let's get rid of this for the moment, and let's talk about one of the two projects today. So this is
sentimental project.
This is a little sentimental to me, yeah, actually. So Jake had the idea, hey, what if we made a little knife box or something for like a little knife? And I thought, you know what's funny is this knife was given to me when I was probably like 6 or 7 years old from my dad, and I've had it ever since, and it's all beat up, but it's like, I'm like, it would be nice to give this a little home, So we're going to take this and we're going to basically build a little box for it. And we're going to use Trace to cut a perfect outline of this so that we can build a little nesting spot for it. This is a little beefier version. Maybe even if we come down to this top camera, I can show you a couple. So here's the knife here. So it's a a normal pocket knife style size. And it will just kind of like fit perfectly into this little nestled spot. And we're going to show how that works in just a second. And now you got a little box. I made a little bigger one earlier that worked with a different knife I had. And this one was pretty cool because it had a little cutout for where the corkscrew is.
Nice.
So we're going to go over kind of this and how I built the lid. And then we're going to talk about some bench pilot stuff and how we did it there. So let's start with, how do we get this knife into something that works on Shaper Origin and Studio? So
yeah, what's your best tactic to trace an object?
yeah, so let's go through. I've already traced this, so you don't have to watch me draw this. But let me explain how I did it. So
I do want to note too that I know it's going to be tempting, and you're going to want to just trace the actual image, or I'm sorry, the actual object itself. We encourage you to actually get pen to paper, because that's going to give you the best results.
Yep. It's going to be probably much better if you just draw this out. If you try to take a picture, shadows and stuff, and the height of the image will kind of distort it.
Yeah.
So it works for some things, but for really good accuracy, you really want to trace that out. That's why it's called Trace.
It's in the name.
Okay. So we're going to take our pen, our thing, and I'm basically going to hold it down while I draw around it. And so for this, I really like this lid. I won't even, there's a bunch of different brands that make these, but these are kind of like, there's like needle noses. And so this area can be touched all the way, even on a very tall object. So you could, go over this object at a super tall height. And as long as your pin's mostly 90 degrees, you're going to get a really good trace. And so like For this, I would basically hold this down with my fingers, and then I would just butt it up against it and draw around it, okay? And I would take my time, and I would just kind of move everything around, and I'd go back and forth. And I want to show you a quick, super cool trick for this one. Even if you don't, do a perfect trace or a perfect drawing, how to get it. So we'll just do this one live. Okay, so now we have our object, and we have our little object around here. Now, what you're going to notice is, even though let's say my pin went off on the outside a little bit, I only care about the inside. And this is kind of important when I'm doing these objects here. So I'm going to take that, and I'm going to basically plop this on. And I will go back to the Trace app. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and capture. Okay, that's going to come in. And now you're going to see that it picked up some other dots from the other area. So it's quite accurate in what it picks up. But we have a little button over here on the side, and I can just remove those objects by drawing around them. I don't really need them. And then that gets me to this kind of main object. So that's actually almost exactly what I drew. And you can see, this area where I went outside the line. Now, this is one of the cool tricks of using this. If I go to this, I can just remove everything, and now I can go back to selecting what I want. And what I really want is just this inside, but not that outside line. Okay? So now what this is going to give me is that's going to give me all the inside area, and it's going to ignore that outside. I can hit done. Boom. Now we got our file. If I hit the button, I can go ahead and save that to my files, and now I would have that in my files. If I wanted to modify it in Studio, I could just click the Studio button. So it kind of depends on your situation, what you want. In this case, maybe we wanted to bring it into Studio, and we'll just place these exploded because I see there's two little dots in here, and we're going to just get rid of them real quick. Boop, boop. Those are deleted now. So now we have one good object that would become the outline for this shape. If I wanted to, I could even try to rebuild it with like actual shapes. I could turn this into a reference path by hitting the edit button. And then I could make an actual perfect circle if I wanted at the top. So there's a lot of cool workflows that just allow you to, use this as part of your design and not necessarily use it for your actual cutting. So we could rebuild that file out. I could duplicate this file here. And I could drag this down to this little nub here.
But for things that are super organic or natural shape, or just anytime you want to do a truly hand-built curve.
Correct. If you want to do that, then we'll talk about how do you get the drawing a little bit better. But I wanted to share this with people because I think it's pretty important that, hey, because the scale is there, we actually have a quite powerful tool here, which is like, I don't actually need to focus drawing too hard. I can just get the scale out of it and then rebuild that shape in Studio. And so using the draw tool, using these standard shapes, there's a lot of cool combinations between Trace and Studio. But you're right. This is a very organic shape. Let's go through the process of how I would do it if I was wanted to do it all in drawing. So, couple things. I'm just going to throw this paper over here. Okay, so this was actually the first one that I did. Let's see if we can see it from the top. Now, when I did this, I actually had there was a keychain that came on this, so I was trying to trace the outline of it, so when you put it in the box, it wouldn't be all messed up, but that got all screwed up. And I decided that was a terrible idea because when I cut that out, the knife kind of wanted to work its way in there. But we'll go over how I fix that in a second. Now, when I do this, what I like to do is I like to take a white piece of paper after I've drawn the original and just stick it over the top and make a better version. And so you'll see here when I go to this second one here, this is actually a much higher resolution drawing because I kind of was tracing the underside of this. And so that gave me a little better one. And then I kind of came back and did a third one that was actually better, and it got rid of that little spot. And Jake asked me, why are you making so many copies? Why don't you just draw over the original? Well, if I make a mistake, I can just toss this, get another piece of white paper, and start again. If I draw on the original, then I have to go back to that first step. So I do like kind of this white paper trick of going back and forth. And alternatively, if you have something like this, which is a pretty simple light box, you can take your original drawing put it on the light box, and then when you put your other piece of paper on there, you get even better a view through it. So the light box can be pretty helpful when you're tracing these copies over. So that is basically how I got from the object to the drawing we needed.
I'm gonna start using that light box.
The light
You're
box
right.
is pretty clutch.
I always start with pencil and then I come back in and ink it
Yep.
before I trace, because trace will pick up a pencil, but it's much happier. It's going to get better resolution with high contrast black marker.
Yeah, high contrast black marker on white papers works really well. It comes with this pen, which is a pretty technical, like a technical pen.
0.05 micron.
Very small, has nice details, but I also sometimes just go to the Sharpie after I've done that initial drawing, and we'll show it later on the other project how we got there. Okay, so let's quickly jump into Studio Land. I'm just going to show you this file and how I set it up, and then we're going to cut for a couple of minutes and show you how it comes together. So let me grab
It's a great looking box. I like the snap lid.
Yeah, I thought that we're going to go over that detail in a second. It is pretty. It's pretty nice. All right, let me sign out of this before we do that too, real quick. Give me 2 seconds, Jake.
All right. We went ahead and did a little bit of the work beforehand, just so we limit the cut time here live on the show. But Sean brought some cherry burl in. You're in a big burl era right now.
I'm in Burl land. I'm
Yeah.
big time.
I think Sean made a friend that has.
I did. I made a
collection of
Burl
Burl.
friend, you know, and it changes everything.
Yeah.
And you know, I have so much of it. I'm not even like veneering, using it for veneer boxes. I want like solid burl.
It's just
you
like
know?
pocketing out giant sections of burl.
Some people are probably crying in the comments right now, but you know, we all have our things, you know.
It is a nice lesson in life to embrace imperfections. I mean, that lid
True.
is missing a whole corner,
Yeah,
but it's beautiful.
I didn't stabilize this, so when I cut it, it kind of just chipped off, but it's not a big deal. All right, so I'm just going to come into Studio, and I'm going to show you how I designed this. So I was thinking a couple things, and let me just turn all these back into regular shapes for a second. Okay, so here's the file. This is the trace file that I took and imported in. I then just made a couple rectangles around it with a radius that I knew would fit for the bits I wanted to use. And then one of the things that I found when I was making these is getting them off can be a little hard. So I put these little cutouts, and I haven't actually tried them, so I hope they work.
Yeah.
But they should allow the top to get off a little bit better. But the idea here is that, and if we come to this top-down view for a second, you can see that there's just a little lip, and I pocketed out the whole top, and then there's just a little lip on this piece. And so when they go together, the lip's actually what's kind of holding it together. Now, I think, if we added some magnets in here, that would even be better. But this is working pretty well. And, the first one had a pretty light lip, and I beefed that up for the lighter ones. But so far, so good. So that's the construction of it. And one thing I was thinking was, everyone's got a bunch of scrap wood,
Yeah.
and I was thinking, hey, if we could design this in a way with scrap wood, and I got a pretty cool little technique that I use sometimes, that would be pretty sweet. So I went and cut this last night so we could all see it. And if we come back to this top camera here, you'll see that basically it's two files in one piece of wood. And what I've done is I've used the origin as kind of a little tiny planer to make this part a little thinner. And so, if you don't have enough pieces, this is only 5 inches long. You can't throw that through the planer. Do you want to get a 12-inch piece and then plane it down? You could, but you can also kind of take advantage of some of Origin and Bench Pilot to kind of make this project a little easier. So we're going to show how we do this.
It's a stellar idea.
Well, it's just like I have so many pieces of wood that are like this big, which is like, what do you do with this? And it's like, I don't know. There's drawbacks to this method of time and changing, but it's also nice when you can just hit the button on Bench Pilot, let it run for 20 minutes, and then you got a box. And so let's jump over to this and let's show you kind of where we're at.
So we did a little bit of that work beforehand to create that kind of space where we can use Origin as a planer. It really is just a larger rectangle that encompasses the entire box. Turn that thing to a pocket. Set the depth to be whatever you want your final thickness to be. And it's going to take care of that pocket first. So we went ahead and did that. Our lid is done. We have the rest of the body of our box to cut.
Yeah, and one key note here, especially with Origin and Bench Pilot, Bench Pilot's not going to hold Origin in the air perfectly. And so you do want to build it in a way where, if you look kind of back at this other camera, we have some support area around the cuts, so the Origin's going to be flat. And so, you know, when I did this one, it was actually a little bit too small because I didn't have support on the outside, so I had to put another piece of wood to kind of keep that height correct. But if you just have a piece that's a little bit bigger, those outside cuts should kind of hold Origin in an area and kind of allow you to plane that little area down.
And I think we could just go ahead and let it rip.
Yeah, I
Rip
think
out the
so.
rest. Preview our cuts. Yep.
Yeah, so make sure you check our AutoPass, our Bench Pilot settings as well, because I was kind of changing some of those as we were cutting.
We have a 6mm bit.
Yep.
We're cutting to a 0-inch offset.
Yep. And then if you go back to pilot mode, you can just check make sure pass mode's on and make sure we're looking pretty good there.
Roughing okay?
Yep, roughing's good.
Great. Beautiful. And this is coming down to 1/4 inch.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different depths in here, so that way Bench Pilot just runs, and then when you come back, everything's hopefully perfect, Jake.
I love it. Let's go.
All right, so it's gonna, Bench Pilot kind of automatically picks the order for you, so you really don't have to think about it too much. So it's gonna always do the pockets first, which is what it already did, and now it's gonna do the inside cuts. So these are those little handheld trays that allow you to pull it off a little easier. And I just made them using Studio in one of the new template shapes, corner radius. So I made a trapezoid with the draw tool. Then I used a corner radius on those insides so that it feels real nice and smooth, because I didn't like the points on the inside.
Yeah.
And if you haven't been paying attention to Studio lately, we're updating it a lot. There's a lot of new things going in. Draw tool, the templates have gone in recently. There's so many. We're getting weekly updates at this point almost to Studio right now. So please take a look at those if you haven't. Try the Studio free trial. See how that automated back and forth works with Origin. We have a session we did a while ago where, we explain why the back and forth is important with Origin and Studio, and how it is one of the things that no other program can do with Origin, because you have that ability to kind of work your, from a physical world to a digital world, and then back and forth seamlessly. And so there's some really cool projects. I think me, you, and Russ did that one a year ago when we announced that release. And so this is basically, this is a cool project too, because, if you set it all up in Studio, the right depths, the right everything, you can just put one bit in, let it do all that pocketing out for you. It's going to take a little longer to do it all in one go, but, if you got Bench Pilot, you're not doing it anymore.
Right. And just to talk about our cut settings here, we're rocking that 6mm bit, running it at a 36 inch per minute. You can see that down in the lower right corner. That's not full tilt, but we've learned our lesson. We're cutting pretty dense burl for one thing. Second thing is that 6mm bit is super sharp, but we don't want to push it too hard.
Yeah, and the nice thing about that 6mm bit is it just cuts so deep with a small flute.
Yeah.
This material is about 3/4 inch thick, a little bit more, and so you could use the regular 1/4 inch bit, but I wasn't sure exactly how deep we're going to go, so I went for the 6mm.
Excellent. And this is the part here. This is our little rabbit.
Yeah, so this is a rabbit all the way around the outside that allows the top to fit. So after this finishes, we're actually going to kind of go back to the tool, make sure everything fits the way we like, our depths are correct, and then we're going to offset this so that the top fits perfectly onto it with whatever kind of tolerance we want. So for me at home, I'm going to recut this one a couple times to figure out what negative offset is working with the top I have.
And I'm going to do that by hand.
And I would just do it by hand typically. You could do it with the Bench Pilot, but at this point, I think it's almost easier to do it by hand. So let's walk back over there. and see what we got.
Beautiful.
Looking pretty good. Okay, well, let's see if this fits.
Oh yeah, first things first. Nailed it.
Nice. All right, and so now we'll take that lid off, and this is going to be a little tight right now because we cut each one of them to an offset of 0, and then we'll come back and fit that top down just ever so slightly until we get a fit we like.
I gotta see the back side of this.
One thing I didn't mention, I actually specifically picked these spots because I liked I really liked the top to be in a certain area. And one of the tricky things was I actually realized that the top was going to be the bottom. So I had to kind of understand where it was going to be because I needed to pocket that top down. And then the top was going to be the bottom of the piece of wood. So luckily I was able to do that with kind of visual placement. And I just pulled that out. If you had just a stick of wood, I would just place them side by side. But if you really want pristine placement, you can put it wherever.
Love it. All right, let's see how that fits.
I'm gonna guess it doesn't.
That is
maybe
close.
See, the problem here's the one tricky part about this box. Without any magnets, the lid staying on is actually based on the fitment.
So it's on there, but it's like, can I get it off? Is the question.
Well, and so one of the ones I did earlier, I actually was, when I got the fitment I was just hand sanding kind of the interior radius a little bit to do it. But I think tighter is better than loose because once it's loose, it's not going back.
Yeah, I mean, it's on there and it comes off. I want to see what like 1 thou would do.
Let me see. Oh, that's pretty good.
That's pretty perfect.
Well, I think you're right.
Don't mess with a good thing.
I think 1 thou negative offset
1 thou
would make a little bit better fit. Yeah, because you don't want to struggle to get the lid off.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Unclip my origin. I'm going to just do this part by hand.
And this is nice because you don't have to go change what was selected and do it. You can just hover the thing you want, set your depth correctly, make sure your depth set correctly, and then we'll.
I'm relying on AutoPass to make sure that my depth is set correctly.
Then you're good. Then you're good.
Actually, I'm just going to use the transfer button.
Yep, you could do that too.
Bingo. Here we go.
Okay.
-001.
All right. So this is kind of one of the cool things about Origin, especially if you're prototyping. Let BenchPilot do the hard work. You can come back for the kind of light work. Once you figure out all these settings, if I were doing a bunch of these, I'd probably go into Studio and change the actual file so that it could cut everything to 0 and get a perfect fit. But when you're doing, one random one here and there, it really doesn't make any sense to go back when you can just change it in 2 seconds.
That's
what do you think? You like it?
Yep.
All right. So let's pull it out and see what we got. Oh, you like that? You like that pry bar better now, huh?
Well, when I'm trying to do this, yeah. Beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, and I this file will be up on ShaperHub and whatnot if you want. Ooh, yeah, that sounds great. I put a nice little 1/8 inch radius on the top and the bottom for the ones I did, and if you wanted a little like gap where the lid came together, you could cut that a little deeper so you get a little visual reveal between the pieces. Oh, yeah, that's nice. How's my prototype like finger remover work?
It's just right.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, nailed it.
Not too much, not too little.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going a little long, Jake. So I think we need to get to the break now.
Okay.
Which is great because this project's done.
Here we are at the break. All right, that poll question is going to pop up in just a moment. A reminder, you need to answer that question in order to enter your name into the giveaways at the end of the show. Question today is, what features would you like to see in Trace in Trace moving forward?
Yeah. And if you don't have one, just put, I don't have one. But yeah, we'd love to hear what you'd like to see. Okay. Let's.
Reminder, everyone, update your tools to Napa.
Yes. Update the Napa if you haven't already.
Do it for Sean.
Do it for me, please. All the team works very hard to get you these new software updates. We want you to have all the latest and greatest.
Yep.
And then also, Jake, there's a promo still going on.
There is. It's the biggest of the year, I hear.
So let's jump into my computer again.
Right now, you can save, up to $900.
900 big ones.
Yeah. So that's going to be cash discounts when you combine Origin, Workstation, Benchpilot, as well as other bundles that you can put together. And then you're going to get a bunch of free stuff, including some reversible clamps, a mini sustainer with a customizable foam insert. You're going to do a pry bar and a scraper and a roll of 1-inch double-sided tape. In addition, we're going to give you two-part training class with myself. We're going to get you up and running with your new tools so that you can go confidently into making some premium projects, which you get 9 free premium projects. These are step-by-step instructions, bill of materials, everything you need to know to create a beautiful piece of furniture designed by some of our friends and some incredible artists.
So many good ones. And how many days we got left, Jake?
11 days, 8 minutes, 16.
A little timer. Countdown. 18, 17, 16. All right. Well, if you haven't purchased Origin yet, now's a great time. And if you're here watching, you probably want to be able to go home and try it afterwards, Really, part of Origin is watching these. You got to go home and utilize them, too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, get that tool.
All right. So that's that. And then we got a shop tour.
We do. Jared Wilson sent over a shop tour. Thank you so much, Jared. When that's ready let's roll into it.
Hey everybody, my name is Jared and welcome to my shop. I am the owner and operator of Inland Wooden Resin here in Spokane, Washington, as well as the personality behind Vulgar Woodworks on YouTube. So if you've seen any of my videos, you've seen my shop, but if not, let me just give you the nickel tour. Starting at the front of the shop, this is my Hammer K3 Winner. It is a sliding table saw, and yes, once you go slider, you never go back. It swings a 12-inch blade, so everything that I can think of cutting, this can get through. Absolute fantastic piece of equipment. Over here is my Hammer A341. It is a 16-inch jointer and planer combination. This machine is an absolute beast. Fantastic to have two machines in one as far as the footprint of the shop is concerned. Lastly, over here, this is my Felder RL140. It's a 4-horsepower unit, 55-gallon container, and yes, that thing sucks. And then the real heart of the shop for me, obviously, is my Shaper Origin. Here it is on Benchpilot. I find any and all excuses to incorporate the Shaper Origin into every single project. And having Benchpilot, yeah, this thing is a major upgrade. I honestly cannot think about using Origin anymore without having Benchpilot. So if you're on the fence, get off the fence. Pull the trigger, get one of these things. Fantastic upgrade. Now, admittedly, I didn't want to spend a great deal of time just kind of moseying around here because you can see it in any of my videos on YouTube. But I want to share with you a vision that I have because of getting my hands on this machine. And for that, we need to go out to the backyard. So I need to preface this. What you're about to see, it's unfinished. It's in a state of being done. So keep an open mind. Okay. So I warned you. Keep an open mind. Bear with me here. Everything that I showed you in my current garage, I plan on pushing over to that wall in kind of a galley style workflow with all of my bigger machines. But this space over here, I really plan on turning into a classroom where I'm going to have 4 to 6 stations, let's call them, with Shaper Origins at each one so that I can welcome in the surrounding community to build their own project using Shaper Origin. I have this vision in my head of sharing all of the knowledge that has been graciously shared with us through sessions and imparting that on others to learn the machine and learn that woodworking can be accessible to anybody with the right set of tools and the right set of skills. And I think Shaper Origin is just fantastic as far as user friendliness. So You know, I'm obviously a long ways off from making that a reality, but I just wanted to share my affinity for the Origin and what I plan on using this space to do with it. So again, I thank you for taking the time to watch. Again, my name is Jared, Inland Wooden Resin in Spokane, and Vulgar Woodworks on YouTube. So thanks a lot to Sessions for showing this, and you know, let's get back to the show.
Wow, that was pretty incredible. And you know, maybe if I'm sick one week, like we can have you have a second, you know, a new guest co-star, because I feel like
That presentation was awesome.
it was great. Yeah, wonderful. So great shop. That would be awesome to share all the stuff we share with you. We love doing this every week. Even I was telling Jake the other day, I'm like, the weeks that I'm on Sessions and I get to be in the shop for a couple days, it just like brings me back to why we even build these tools in the first place, of like getting your ideas into the real world through woodworking power tools. The digital side is just like, this one really came full circle for me. So
Yeah. Thank you so much for sending that over, Jared. Incredible space. I like that we got to dream a little bit with
yeah,
him.
me too. Me too. I think that would be pretty sweet. We expect an invitation to at some point. All right, shop break over. We're way behind time, so we gotta crank this up. Now we did the knife project earlier. We're gonna go into some pre-made stuff that me and Jake also worked on, and we're just gonna work our way through it. So we made a couple things using trace, and I just kind of wanted to share some ideas that might get your juices flowing. So
Quick things.
if we
fun
come over
things.
here, you know, look at this little From Santa wooden tag. Boom, it's perfect size. You know, trace is going to give you that automatically, and then you get this nice little, you know, wooden tag. Now this is the traced one. I kind of like it. It's kind of got my handwriting. If you knew
Yeah.
me, you would know. I also wanted to share, one of our other coworkers, Josh, made this one a while ago using Studio with single line fonts, and it is something else too. So, you know, if you like the hand thing, go for trace. If you like it real nice and neat, go for Studio. I think he cut it off a little bit, but he told me that was intentional.
He's a designer.
He is a designer.
I'm sure that was intentional.
Okay, so that's one little tag. Option 2. This was a cool drawing you did a while ago, correct?
Katie did this.
Katie did it. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is a little flower drawing. And, you know, if you have a vinyl cutter, what about this? Ooh, baby. Pretty sweet. Yeah, I mean, being able to take a picture of it, bring it into whatever vinyl cutter app you have, cut it all out, weed it for, you know, a couple minutes, and then apply it. Look at that thing. You got a nice little Stanley.
Yeah.
So there's the good quick one.
Woodworking is therapeutic, but weeding a vinyl cutout.
You know what, Jake? I
a good time.
tried. I just could not. I couldn't get there. You know, I did it once, and I was like, I think that's it for me. All right, this one's one Jake did. So let's come down here.
This is experimental.
What is this, Jake?
It's just some shapes.
And what is this?
That is 3-ply. It is three pieces of commercial veneer, one red going the grain going the opposite direction on the inside of 2 white pieces.
Very small too. Look at that.
Super thin. I wanted to make like a bookmark.
Okay,
And
ready?
so we did a little relief cut.
Ooh, baby. Look at that. I got it upside down, don't I? So you can kind of see exactly where it's getting cut out from, side by side. And I think these are sweet. A little
Super
bookmark. You could put any design you want. Just, you know, you got to get a little vacuum press and, you know, glue it
Vacuum
up.
press or just 2 pieces of plywood
Or just,
sandwiching it.
or just clamp it. You know,
Yeah.
put some weights on top.
Go to the store, buy a pack of commercial veneer and
Yes.
have fun.
Yeah, and I think like, you know, some personalization of a drawing of something that's related to the person you're giving to could be pretty sweet. I thought about, you know, cutting one with like a picture of someone's animal or their dog, you know, cat.
Yeah.
Could be pretty sweet. So
Text would come up really well.
I mean, that thing is pretty nice. Okay. That one's sweet, Jake. I really like that one. So if that one disappears later, you know where it went. All
What else
right.
we got?
Jake did this one.
No, I didn't.
Oh, wait, sorry. A child did this one. Check this one out. Oh, family portrait. You know, and this is not an origin project, but it is a pretty sweet gift. Look at that. Well, go over to this camera too. Look at this
Yeah.
shirt.
being
Yeah.
able to take a kid's drawing, especially if they did it in big, bold
So nice.
pen, you can turn it into a vinyl cut. This is actually transferable ink that we use.
Oh, transferable ink. That's cool.
Yeah. So it cuts out like vinyl, but goes
There,
on like
there's
ink.
so many cool like processes in digital fabrication these days.
It's a whole world.
Yeah, that one's cool. So if you have, take your kid's drawing and give it to, grandma or grandpa,
Or put it on a shirt that you get
Yep.
back to them. That will really blow their mind.
Okay, this one's gonna blow your mind, Jake, because I don't even know if you've seen this one before. Okay, check this one out. See this little Christmas tree? This was actually done. I don't know if you remember a couple sessions ago. We did a little a manger scene for the little carousel thing we did, and one of our employees, Grace, shout out Grace, had this idea. A little gingerbread engraving. Look at that. I mean, you basically take a little drawing of origin, and we actually got some little cookie cutters done. So she cut out a spot for the gingerbread cookie, and then look at that.
You can engrave a cookie.
Then you can just like while you're eating a cookie. So this
Love
one's
it.
pretty experimental, but I dig it. The concept's pretty sweet, Grace. Thank you for sharing it. And you can put whatever you want. You can make some secret messages to people and your family. That one's a great one.
Nice.
Okay. This one I did, and it's not technically a trace, but you have to use your mind a little bit.
It is a new feature.
It is kind of pretty sweet, though. It's a little tiny trivet, and it uses, if we put it down here, it uses a snowflake template on Studio. So we have a new template on Studio, if you haven't seen, that generates snowflakes of different sizes, etc. And I just made this little quick cutout and cut it in, and I actually engraved with a roundover bit the top, so it feels real nice. But you could do a trace drawing and put it on here and have a little thing like that. It'd be pretty nice. And then I think that's most of them. We had some other ones, but we're running out of time.
Yeah.
We got one last little project to go over, and we'll try to run through it. And I'm gonna see. Okay, so this is a pretty funny one. So if we come over here to the top, it might be a little hard to see it to drawing, but I was drawing basically some Santa hats. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be funny if we had a Santa hat that was a serving tray? So you could cut out some areas and, then I made this. But then I was looking at it and I was like, it doesn't look so much like a Santa hat.
Well, we know it's that.
But
like
if
everyone
I
else
think
is like,
if
what
you,
is it?
If you come to this front camera, it kind of looks like one when I do this, but no one got it. I went around the office and asked them, hey, what is this? No one knew. Still pretty cool. I drew it all out. I used trace to pull it in and did it. But I decided, we're going to try this again. And so if we come back to the top one, Martine, one of our mechanical engineers, drew this idea of this like full snowman. And so I drew a pencil version of it, a little bigger than what he drew. And then I drew this version, thinking, hey, it would be nice if the beer was pretty large so you can put a bunch of popcorn in there. And then I drew this version, which was pretty similar, using the tracing things, but I didn't like that this was so smooth, so I kind of made it a little more like this. And then we come to the Santa. Now, he looks a little cartoony and funny, but I think it's kind of hilarious. So anyways, we're going to show you how we did this real quick and start cutting it. So, I took the drawing. Now, you'll notice that this is a lot smaller than this, but this is the great thing about vector files is they scale bigger or smaller without losing any proportions, any quality. So I just made it bigger. Sometimes the scale is really valuable with trace. Sometimes, it's not. In this case, I wanted it bigger than I actually was drawing, so I just scaled it up in Studio. Now, if we come over to Studio real quick, I'm just going to show you how I set this up. Now, I cut most of this earlier because, I think this is probably about a 30, 40-minute cut on Benchpilot, hogging out all that material. But what I did is I cut some of it earlier and I put a bounding box around it so that I could pull that piece off. And then later when we come back, we can get it together. So maybe if we go to this other camera angle, we can just explain what I mean here. This is kind of what we've cut already.
Did some of the larger pockets and the majority of the outside cut, but we kept that edge so we can actually grid.
Yep, so we
One, two,
re-gridded it
three.
just now, right when we were in the shop tour. And that allows me to put this file back, even if this piece of wood would have changed some degree. We're just referencing the material. The file will go back right on top of where it came. So we've cut a bunch of it already, but the cool thing about this project is, there's some pretty big pockets. And I was thinking, Jake, we need to pull out the 16 millimeter bit.
Yeah, we do.
We don't get to show it enough, and especially with Bench Pilot, just having it crank through a bunch of material for you is like super, super fun. So we'll cut this other one, and I'll show you how we set it up. There are a few little details, and let's see if that bit comes up. Yep, it's a monster, but it's so good. It cuts hardwoods really well. We actually spent a lot of time trying to find a bit that we liked for all the types of materials we cut, and this is the one that is our favorite. So it's 16 millimeters in diameter by 16 tall. Now this is going to come into effect here because what we're going to need to do when we cut these pockets is we're going to change some of the settings of Bench Pilot so that it's not actually cutting a roughing and finishing pass. Because if we do that, the way a roughing and finishing pass works on Bench Pilot is it's going to use the roughing offset as it goes down, and then at the end, at the final depth, it's just going to move over to the edge and cut the whole thing. Now, because our flute is only 16 millimeters deep, we can't really do that because that will just undercut all of the material we have on top of that. And so we'll just turn roughing and finishing passes off on this one, and that will give us a pretty sweet one. So, yep, there's the settings. We'll turn that off, and if you see there on the side, you get a kind of a summary of what's going to happen. So in this case,
2 passes.
It's going to do 2 passes. Now, by default, it's going to set your pass depth to whatever your diameter is, and so we definitely don't want to do that.
Pretty aggressive.
That's super aggressive. With this bit, I like to go 8 to 10 millimeters deep a pass. I find that that's quite good, and so that's how I set that up. But Jake was looking at my pocket bottoms earlier and admiring them.
Pretty nice pocket bottom you got there.
And I wanted to explain how I got there real quick because this is kind of a tip that I like to do when I don't want to do any sanding on the bottom of this pocket. I just want it to be perfect. If we go back into these settings, what you're going to notice, and I might need to look at this for a second. So we have 0.2, 0.5, 0.8. And so that's going to mean that we're going down a little by little, and we're just going to clear it all out. Now, with this 0.6267 inch pass depth, that's going to give me 3 passes. But if we just change this to something a little bit less, like 0.26, we're going to get this leftover pass here. And so that's going to be a quarter, half inch, 3/4, followed by a very tiny pass. And that's going to basically not take as much material load on that final pass, and it should give us a really clean bottom. So that's a little pro tip that I like to use when I'm sick of sanding weird interior pockets.
Beautiful.
All right, so Jake, let's send it. One note here is you're going to want to run the speeds of the spindle pretty fast for this, especially when you're doing it in manual mode. Try to lower those speeds as low as you can possibly go while getting a good cut. With this one, I've been running 3 to 4 on Bench Pilot, also at like a 35 inch per minute speed. And I want to just stop it at some point so we can show some of those chips coming out and kind of explain to people like what they should be seeing. Because you really don't want to be seeing dust. If you're seeing dust, it's heating up that bit, it's dulling it, you're just making a bunch of dust. You want to see big chunky chips. And so we'll try to get that and then wrap it up.
Beautiful.
So Jake went ahead and deselected what it wants, and Bench Pilot's going to automatically take those areas. Okay, yeah, and it's going to essentially break these pockets into little areas. So you don't have to think about pockets. You just tell it, hey, Bench Pilot, I want to cut this big pocket. It's going to do the smarts to figure out how to actually program that properly. And so in this case, this shape's being broken up live into these little segments, and then we'll go back and kind of do some bigger pass afterwards. Now, I'm maybe going to stop it and show you these things in just a minute, but we'll give it just a second. Yeah, there we go. You can see it. Let me just come over here and stop it for a second. Because I think it's important for people to see this, because I always get a lot of questions about, hey, what should I be looking for? Well, okay, there's a couple things. When you look in here, you don't want to see any dark spots. If you see dark in this area, that means your bit's probably running too fast of a speed, and that's no good. The other thing is, look at these chips, okay? I'm going to bring them over, maybe this camera here. You can see these. They're actually quite large, and large chips are better for the heat of the bit. And so by doing that, you'll get much better quality, and I like to just keep trying to push it until you're getting good quality, large chips, and I'll let it continue. Okay, so Bench Pilot, as we know, is going to let us go right back to wherever it figured out. It tries to remember all those things automatically so that you don't have to think about it. And this one's got about 4 minutes, it says, with these settings. Now, if you speed it up, slow it down, that's going to change the time frame. When I was doing these, when I was prototyping them, I actually was, I would change the offset, that global offset, to a little bigger number. Mm-hmm. And then I would just run at max speed, and then I would come back and let it finish it up with a smaller bit. There are some trade-offs to the big bit, small bit conundrum of,
Definitely.
Hey, do I use a big bit so that it clears the material faster, but then I got to do a bit change, then I got to Z-touch, then I got to do this, or do I just use a smaller bit and let it just run longer?
Go do something else with your time.
Well, I've leaned more into I'm not optimizing for time now that I have Bench Pilot. I think in the past I would have optimized for time. Mm-hmm. But now that I have Bench Pilot, if it runs 10 minutes or 25 minutes, I don't really care, because it's I'm not a production machine. I'm building these objects, and that 15 minutes is nothing to me. So it depends on what you're using it for, but I think the really nice thing is that you have the option now, and so if you're doing these over and over, you might optimize them a little further. If you're just making these one off, a couple extra 20 minutes doesn't matter. Yeah. You put a bit in, a smaller bit, let it run, and you come back in 20 minutes and it's done.
Tell you what, while this is cutting itself out, you could do the final touches on your knife box.
Yeah, totally.
Put that round over on there. Yeah. Sand it up.
We could. All right, here, let's do it. Actually, you got to do it, Jake, because my hair's down.
Oh boy, my hair's down too.
It should be set up from yesterday, unless anyone touched it.
Looks good.
Nice. Are you gonna finish it up at the same time, expecting some mineral oil or something? What?
Well, I won't go that far.
No, you won't. This is so Jake's over there at the router table while Bench Pilot's finishing up this cut, and we are on our what seems to be maybe final pass. It's going to do a couple depths at this spot. Now, you'll see that Origin automatically is not going into those little crooks because the bit will not fit. And so if you're new to Origin, you can just put a different bit in and it will recalculate all the paths that can be cut. And so if we wanted to make a more detailed cut, we could come back, cut that specifically with a smaller bit, and then it would go into those little nooks and crannies a little bit better. But it really is up to you, and it's up to the design. If you have a bigger round on your design, you don't need as small of a bit. So a lot of interesting tips, and Trace really, makes these organic shapes possible at a much easier pace than if you were trying to figure out how would I take this drawing and turn it into something Origin can cut. You can do that really fast with Trace. Take some time drawing. I took, probably 30 minutes to really figure out that size, what I wanted to look like, and then all of a sudden I just come back and boom. All right, Jake, how's the router table?
I like it.
Oh yeah,
much better.
Here, we got a little water over here, so you can just see what it looks like. All shinied up. Then I can figure out what I actually want to finish it in later. Oh, yeah. All right. So, boom. So a couple minutes, quick work. We got a huge spot open, and you know it's basically this. If we come here, is now this. We just haven't cut the little engraving here. Now, you know, someone told me the engraving, you know, the little scary looking. So you could just leave it as is. Jake had the idea of cutting the eyeballs a little deeper, so you could put toothpicks in there. You know?
Yeah, that could go either way.
We really liked it, you know, having some flat areas and some deep areas because, you know, you can put some stuff here and then fill this up. So anyways, we'll get these files online. You can try them out. And we'll just, you know, Jake, yeah, you want to show it off?
Great.
Look at that. So cool. It is a sweet little box, and you can make it too. If you have a bigger knife, change those dimensions, make sure the radius is set properly to your bit, and call it a day. So,
you're gonna put this up on Hub too?
Yeah, I'll put it up. Well, all of this will go up on Hub. So if you want it, it'll be up probably tomorrow morning.
Sweet.
All right, that's the show.
That's
Trace,
the show, folks.
Bench Pilot Studio. We hope you still have a little bit of time to make some gifts, and maybe we'll get to see you next year. This is me and Jake's favorite time of year.
It is.
Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, everyone.